I graduated high school in 2005. And so that was my senior year, and that was the year that I played in an all state group. The group I played in was not the All State Honor Band, but it was called a festival band. And in a festival band, your band director chooses the people that they think are going to be best for the group. I didn't really have a concept at the time that this was an all state group. I don't know why I didn't know that, especially because it was in Pasadena when I lived in the Sierra foothills. But I enjoyed it. I loved it. I got a chance to audition. I got a pretty high chair, like fifth chair clarinet. I liked performing for an audience in a beautiful venue. I loved getting to play music that I'd never heard before. It was a really cool experience. I went to college not too long after, of course, and decided I wanted to be a music education major. I went to my first CMEA conference in 2008. And in that conference, we got to see all the all-state bands, the all-state orchestras, the choir, the jazz band. And I noticed there was no festival band, and I asked my professor, where did the festival band go? Because that's what I did, and that was really important for me as an experience. And he said they didn't like it. They didn't think it was a very good band, and they stopped having the festival band. To the credit of the California Music Educators Association, it's a very different music education climate as a music educator now than it was when I was in that conference in 2008. I remember the sessions were always about like how to get your ensemble to win festivals and sound really professional. It was always about sounding really good. And now it's more about learning. It's more about actually learning through the use of music making, which is what it should be. That's a topic for another time. Whenever I go to the CMEA conferences, whenever I go to the CASMEC or see the all-state groups, I just feel a little bit resentful, and this is why. Something I did not tell you about myself is my general background. I grew up in a very small town, a really small town that was so small it didn't have its own high school. No music teacher ever wanted to be there. One guy came in and he taught band when I was in 4th grade, and a different guy came in and he taught band when I was in 5th grade, and a different guy came in, and that went on for like 4 years, like totally new person every single time, because it was so far away and it was just not a cohesive program. So the kids who went and they decided to join band had no background in music, including myself. The one exception, the one difference I would say that helped me was that I took piano lessons. I took private piano lessons, and my mom paid like $15 a week to have a half-hour lesson, and I ate that shit up. But until I was actually in high school, I had never in my life seen a marching band. I went to the next town over to go to high school, which was like 20 miles away. So in terms of public education in music, there just was not that where I grew up. It was basically the privilege that I had was that I got to take lessons, and therefore I knew a little bit about how to read music. I listened to classical radio enough to know how things should sound and how things should be phrased, and I figured that stuff out. I had a very low opinion of myself in high school, and it wasn't like I was really sad about it all the time. It wasn't like, oh, I'm horrible or anything like that. I just didn't really understand that I was capable of things. I don't know why. I walked around with this weird ignorance is bliss attitude of, well, I'm just less than. I don't know why. In high school, that was magnified because it was such a big school, and I felt like I just didn't have what it took to be in high school. Which, that doesn't make any sense. I worked hard. I did my homework. I did pretty well, and I understood all the coursework. I don't know. I don't know why I had those thoughts about myself, but they were there. And it kind of followed me up through college, which, by the way, I chose the college I went to because I didn't really think I could get into any schools, so I just applied to the one. Once I got there and decided to be a music major, I practiced really hard and I got like to the top really quickly. I felt like I had a lot to compensate for. I don't know why. I felt like I just had to be better than what I seemed. I don't know. Today I've like really thought about that in therapy. I just like, and that's why I made this video too. I've been thinking about privilege in music education a lot because the other part of this is that I have been feeling really down about myself because of seeing pictures of people's beautiful classrooms on social media. And here's the truth. I have one portable classroom in one of the schools I teach at. I teach beginning band. I teach elementary band at 2 schools, and I go around into classrooms and teach 3rd grade music at 2 other schools. And the 3rd grade music is the first music education that the students have in their school setting. So it's a pretty big responsibility. I don't know why I did this to myself, but it's really hard to see lovely, dedicated facilities to music when there is just no way that I would ever have one in the job that I have. And I realize that when I teach my band students, I realize it's so hard. And that's something I was talking about today with my therapist. I was saying, like, I really don't think that the people in front of me in my 4th and 5th and 6th grade band classes were thinking about the things that I was thinking about. My students are in a different demographic from myself, as is typical in California. It's really typical. It's way too typical for it to be that way. So, like, obviously I'm white. My students are not. And a lot of them come from migrant families. A lot of them are mixed, different cultures. Most students in my district speak Spanish at home. I think about them all the time when I'm in a music education conference and I'm watching the all-state groups. And none of the kids look like my kids. Why is it hard? It's hard because it's a very obvious truth. Like, the people who get really skilled at an instrument are people who have means and people who can afford to pay the best and live where the best lives, which is, in the case of California, obviously LA or Southern California. Not in a farm town, not in the foothills. Even though I'm from a very different place than my students are from, I think about myself in high school in 2005, seeing myself as less than, or maybe I didn't for once. Maybe in the all-state group, finally thinking I wasn't less than. I was just as good as. I guess bundled in with that whole, like, you're not gonna have the nice stuff and the nice classroom thing, I was feeling really sorry for myself and just thinking, like, I'm never going to have an award for my teaching because I don't have a marching band. I teach elementary band. You know, I'm never going to win at a festival. I'm never going to win a trophy for my teaching, right? I guess that's what I think about. I'm never going to win a trophy for my teaching. For a couple of weeks, that made me really sad. It might always make me sad. I don't know. It's really stupid, but it's nice to think that I could be recognized someday, but I don't think I ever will. Today was the day I finally realized fully how much my students and I really need each other. I've been teaching for 8 years. When I was a kid, I never met a music teacher that was like me. Just not so fancy, I guess. Even though I want to think I'm fancy, but I'll never really feel fancy. And I was scared. When I was first teaching, I was really scared. I was scared of kids judging me and everyone judging me, everyone around, like looking at me, thinking, like, what is this person talking about? She doesn't know what she's talking about. Um, Forever, for a really long time. Not helped in my second job situation when I spent 2 years in the shadow of someone who was very different from me. And the kids just they didn't like me because I wasn't the other person. And then I come here to my job that I have now and to these students who hadn't had any music education. And I was the first one. And it became more like we are people exploring this together. It's not, I'm gonna teach you music. It's, this is music and I know about it, but we're going to explore it together. When I dropped that, when I peeled myself of that costume, like that I had to be music teacher or whatever, I was just a person exploring music with children that hadn't seen music before, and asking what they noticed and what they felt and what they saw and heard, and um, doing the very best job I could. That's when my relationship with my students became really different. It became more about us. I forget about that when I go away sometimes until I go back, and then I get very frustrated because I can't believe I forgot that. I can't believe I forgot that I was going to be making music with these humans again, these wonderful humans, and they don't care if I'm not fancy. They just want me to teach them. And they come every time because I give them a sticker and I stand at the door, and every time it's like a personal exchange, just 3 seconds saying hello. I see you have your instrument, here's your sticker, or what happened? You don't have your instrument this time. I'm not going to have fancy things in my classroom because that's just not how my job is set up. That's just not what I get to have. I get to learn to teach. I have the craft of teaching. I have music itself. I have the internet. And I have this aching desire to never stop reflecting or stop growing. So I think my job and I are in a pretty happy place. Even though it's not going to be Instagram worthy, and I'm not going to be making YouTube videos about how to do this in your classroom because I just don't have those setups. It's okay. I have relationships with my students. I have the music we make together. That's my trophy. This video took a really weird turn. That's what happens when I don't have an outline and when I don't write out what I was gonna say. I miss a lot of things, and I ramble and I cry for no reason. So there's that. I truly have no idea what is on cue for my upload schedule in the next few weeks. I'm riding the wave. Like I'm trying to just do what feels good right now and not try to force anything. Because this is what happens to my emotional state when that happens for a very long period of time. So I'm just gonna be doing some different things. So I hope you bear with me on that. If you, for some reason, enjoyed this video, maybe you did, and that's cool. You can be my friend and we can talk about music. If you teach in an economically disadvantaged area, I would love to hear about that. If you struggle with your setup as well, you can use my comment section as your vent sesh. It's okay. But until next time, stay mindful, stay musical, and stay out of trouble.